So there's quite a trend of people who work for large firms to be working from home, as well as people setting up businesses from home. And just to be clear, that what we're talking about here is people who have set up a business from home and they need to think about protecting their own business. If somebody is working from home on behalf of another business, generally their requirements, insurance requirements, would be covered by the company that they are working for. So if you're running a business from home, the main risks would be around if you have any stock or contents in relation to your business. If something were to happen to the premises or the property, there is a risk that you wouldn't be able to afford to replace the contents of the stock. So actually, if you've invested quite a bit of money in that, for a small business operating out of your home premises, the chances are that the capital is not available to replace all of that, so it could bring the business to a prompt close. Alternatively, actually, if you've got customers visiting the property, or you yourself are going out to provide services and you're visiting companies, there's a risk around public liability. So ensuring that you've got the right cover in place, so that if anybody sustains an injury on your premises or you cause damage at a premises that you're visiting, that you've got adequate protection. Also, if you are manufacturing a product or you're selling a product to the public, to ensure that you've got product liability cover in place so that you're protected should that product cause loss or damage to a member of the public. Generally, what I'd say is that there's a bit of a lack of awareness about home business insurance. So small businesses that operate out of their home premises probably need to be aware. They need to let their home insurer know that they're operating a business from the premises. In general, a home insurance policy wouldn't provide adequate cover for operating a business out of your home. So the kind of things that a home insurance policy may not cover is stock and contents related to the business. So if the worst should happen and there was a storm or a flood or a fire, a home insurance policy may provide cover for your personal contents, but not any relating to the business. On top of that, it's the couple of covers that I'd mentioned earlier, which is around public liability. If you've got people visiting your premises, if anything happens to them while they're on your premises, you'd be liable as the business owner. Products liability, if you're selling a product or manufacturing a product that goes to the public, if that should cause them loss or damage. On top of that, actually, if any business owners are fortunate enough to have grown the business to a point where they have employees, they need to check out their obligations from that perspective, because there may be a legal requirement for them to have employers' liability cover in place to protect any injury that might arise in the course of the business operating. Common types of claims that people should think about that they may or may not need to make in relation to the business would be around if there's a theft at the property, so there's a loss of stock or contents. You know, if there's a fire or if there's a flood, would the kind of contents that they've got in relation to their business, would they be covered? And you know, if they've got people visiting, so any accidental damage that might occur to their belongings that they've got in the house, or if somebody should trip and fall on the front doorstep on the way into the property, those are the kind of things that they need to be looking out for. It's less about the frequency that it would with which it would occur, and more about the severity. So particularly when you're talking about liability type claims, actually the size of that claim can reach into tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds. And as a small business owner, would you have the money to be able to compensate you know, any individual coming onto the property under those circumstances? And that's what they need to be thinking about. So it may be that actually when you look at the course of your business activities, the actual stock and contents you have at the property doesn't or amounts to a figure that you could replace, but there are certain types of claims that actually, unless the business has reached a quite you know, a large size, you wouldn't be able to compensate customers. I think there's quite a few sort of common sense basic things that you can do. So if you're setting up a business in the first instance and you've invested you know, quite a bit of money in technology, maybe it's a laptop or printers, photocopiers, any of that home office equipment, well actually if you've unwrapped that, don't leave the boxes outside if you can't get, try and flatten them down, get them into the bin, because otherwise it's a walking advertisement for anybody who comes past the property to know that actually quite a lot of expensive business equipment has been purchased. On top of that, if you've got people that are visiting the premises, make sure your carpets are down, the floorboards are down, kind of general health and safety. When a small business owner hears the term insurance, I think there's an automatic assumption that it's quite an expensive product, particularly when you think about it as a commercial business insurance product. Now, whilst there are no guarantees, because insurance pricing is done individual to each risk, and there are a lot of factors that are taken into account, home business insurance can be purchased from as little as £60 or £70, and with companies like Direct Line for Business, actually you could, in order to manage cash flow, that premium can be spread over 12 months, and for the first year of the policy there's actually no interest charge, so it's kind of not as expensive as people would assume. I mean, if there's anybody who would like to find out more about home business insurance and may think that the topic is complex, actually there's a lot of information that's available on the Direct Line for Business website, so that's at www.directlineforbusiness.co.uk, and also if they pop online but they'd prefer to speak to somebody to discuss their requirements and their needs and explore the cover further, there's actually a phone number online. If they pick up the phone, dial that number, they'd get through to a specialist business insurance team who'd be able to guide them through the cover and help them to decide what kind of cover and policy would be adequate for their needs. The call centres that we have, the operations are open Monday to Friday, 8 till 8, and we're also open on Saturdays and Sundays, so you can kind of do it in your own time.